Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Tom Stewart here. I'm with Liz Trotter. This is Smart Business Moves.
Hey, y'all.
How are you today, Liz?
I am well. I'm better than you. You're fuzzy.
Am I
Yeah. Is it only me that has a hard time saying the word fuzzy?
fuzzy?
Fuzzy.
I did
feel like
shave this morning. I don't know. I don't know what to do.
no fuzzy. Like actually, you're looking much clearer now. So maybe you're not fuzzy anymore. Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're not fuzzy.
might have to clean my glasses.
Well, I was just complaining that my glasses were terrible. They look as bad as yours usually do.
Oh.
Hey, Linda. Right now we want Tom and a hat.
What?
Tom, you need to get like January hats and February hats now.
Well, I have a few. They're like usually like baseball type hats. Nothing caps.
Nothing exciting.
No.
Nothing fun like Christmas trees or Santa pants.
Santa pants? No, only have one Santa pants hat.
You need, I don't know what they are in January. Is that President's Day? Oh, yeah. Never mind. No president hat.
No.
You don't want to go there.
Well, Groundhog's Day is right around the corner. That's at February 2nd.
Yeah, I do love Groundhog's Day, actually. Don't know why. I just think it's a random.
Janice and I got married January 1st, so I can always remember our anniversary because it's Groundhog's Day Eve.
You mean February 1st?
Well, February. Yeah, whatever. I get it right.
That was so perfect. It's January 1st, so I can.
Maybe I'll get it right. I don't know.
Or maybe you can't always remember it.
It's hard.
That is like you practiced it, Tom.
Too much to keep up with. Too much.
Oh, that was awesome. So I always remember my anniversary. I'm really good at remembering the dates. I just never remember how many years. I remember my kids' birthdays, but please don't ask me how old they are. Don't tell me no. Don't fit them in your hat.
We're good, Denise. Thank you, but we're good.
I don't know. I really did love watching Tom in all the hats. Hey, Heather. I know. How perfect was that? I love that you could not remember your, that you're telling me how you can remember your anniversary, but you get it wrong. Sorry, Tom. Tom's not amused.
That's all good.
All right. So we have serious work to do today too, Tom.
Anything happening on the PPP front?
I think somebody that is on our meeting today has already been funded.
Really?
Found their money in their account. Might not be anybody on here. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I do know at least one person that has the money in their account.
I know a rather large and successful cleaning business is owned by an individual whose name rhymes with crickets. He's a regular on Smart Business Moves who applied like last Tuesday, and the money's in the bank today.
Wow, applied last Tuesday. That was really fast. Linda has her money.
All right.
Yay. Yeah, that's cool, Linda. And when did you, oh no, you were told that you were approved on Friday, right, Linda? I'm pretty sure it was like that. Like she was approved on Friday and then she had the money the next business day or something like that. Yeah. So, wow. Matt has his money. He got his money in 1 week. Huh?
Yeah, from like soup to nuts application, and 1 week later, the money's there.
Wow. And he got a chunk of change too, I'm sure. He's got a big company. Yeah. So, yeah. Well,
he was here. If he was here, I'm sure he'd tell us.
See, loan was approved Friday at 3 p.m. Money in your account Tuesday morning, 9 a.m.
That's okay, Liz. We understand.
I wonder if it was catching, Tom. I was so amused by it that now
it's not just me, is it?
Oh, Well, the weird thing is it's almost always me, at least once per show. So for you to like
Oh,
play along with me is nice, Tom.
I have my fair share. My goodness.
I think we stand out more because there are fewer of them. Yeah, so awesome about the PPP. I haven't heard anything else. Hey, how are numbers looking, Tom? I also have not heard much about COVID numbers recently. Not our numbers, the COVID numbers. How are we trending?
They're going up.
Okay.
There's, I mean, in terms of like new cases, I think there's some thinking out there that it might be leveling a little bit from the peak created by like Christmas and New Year's.
Okay.
But, I mean, if you guys want to nerd out for a minute, I've got an article here
Looks like it's on a rooftop somewhere.
because I'm looking up.
Yeah.
Got too many monitors. Okay, so go away. The short story here is that because the vaccine is rolling out, people are starting to get a little more lax, and even some local governments are starting to back off a little bit in terms of restrictions. And what these graphs are telling us is if we kind of lift restrictions now, because vaccination started going off here, this is kind of the trend that's happening in terms of daily infections. If we start getting lax, they're going to spike to levels that we haven't seen before they start going back down, because there's not enough vaccine out there, and it's not, even when you get the vaccine, it takes a few weeks before it really becomes efficacious.
Yeah.
I'll drop this article. This was pretty cool, and it's something to think about. I mean, it talks about, you know, the number of people that we think have already, you know, had the disease and hasn't been, you know, diagnosed. But even with all that, we're not to the point where herd immunity is really going to help us. And if we don't continue to wear masks and social distance and be real conservative here for the next couple of months, it's going to get worse before it gets better, I guess, is the point of this article.
All right. That's great. It does seem that it is much less deadly now, though.
That's the thinking, with the exception, though, that now they've got these new variants from like South Africa, Brazil, and the UK that are more contagious. And the reason that's more contagious is it's a higher viral load, and they haven't been able to, I guess, quantify if it's actually more deadly, but they think marginally it is, because it kind of, all the reasons that makes it more contagious would also be the same reasons that would make you more sick.
All right. Well, that makes sense. I just, it's so weird the way, you know, the human mind works. We have all of these facts and figures, but we still tend to believe what we see, what we hear, what we know personally. So even though we see that the numbers are bigger and better and worse, and, you know, they're not great. I don't know anybody that's sick. I don't know anybody that's died. I don't know anybody. And so people start relaxing the strictness, the protocols. And it's not just the customers either. I know a lot of businesses that are currently not wearing masks in homes, and they've just, as long as nobody's home, is kind of the deal. See, we had it 4 weeks ago. Me, my husband, my mother-in-law, father-in-law, with like a bad head cold. Z-Pack was a huge help. My husband had it last, I'm trying to close out that little thing, hide temporarily, thanks to Nate. Last real bad, but this time was mild. Oh, so your husband had it twice. Okay, I don't know anybody that had it twice yet. Hey, I've been missing you guys, trying to hire a GM, so I've been swamped, but good to see you all. Good to see you too, Marlo. Oh, yay. I take it that means you hired your GM? Yay. All right. I hope that they are working out. That's awesome. This was my year. What'd she say? Year. My head had it last year.
So, here's an article that kind of speaks to that a little bit. If you get it, can you get it again? And if you get the vaccine, does that mean you still can't get it? And I guess one of the big takeaways here, it looks like more and more the information is lining up that even if you have the vaccine, you might not get symptoms, but you can still be an asymptomatic carrier.
Yeah.
Which is kind of problematic too.
I feel like that's worse.
Yeah.
It's really, really bad. I wear a mask everywhere, and luckily when I flipped apartments, I was alone in an apartment. Gavin, our son, was an asymptomatic person. He had 0 symptoms. Well, no, he lost his taste and he lost his smell, but those were the only symptoms he had. And he's young. Thankfully, he acted responsibly, but I mean, I feel like he is kind of like the person that would be like, I'm fine. I feel fine. Well, I can go to the store. It'll be fine. He didn't. I'm grateful that he didn't, but I know that it was tempting for him. And he lives with a couple and their 2 children, I think, and they all got really, really sick, and he was the only one that didn't. So I'm sure he got them all sick. I think that kind of helped him stay in line too, that it's a worse thing. But it's hard. I think it's hard on the people that only reason he even knew that he was positive is because his girlfriend is in the medical field and they have the rapid test. And so he took the rapid test and then followed it up with another test. But otherwise, he wouldn't even have known he was positive. He said it took him a few days to recognize that he'd lost his taste. He just thought everything was so boring flavored. Like, oh, gosh.
Wow.
Gosh, Kevin. He was like, yeah, nothing tasted good. Nothing tasted good because you couldn't taste. He's like, yeah, I realized that. It took me a while. I'm like, gosh. So anyway.
At this point, I think that we all know, if we haven't experienced it firsthand, we've experienced it in our family. At the very least, we know people who have had it. And, probably don't have to go too far before we can point to a case or two where somebody got really sick, if not succumbed to it. So I guess the moral of this story is it's at this instant,
Still out there.
Number of new cases is kind of flat, but it's flat at a very high level. And there's some concern and some projections that it's going to get worse because people are starting to lift restrictions. And, my daughter goes to Clemson, and, a bunch of her friends kind of went to high school together, and they all go there. And I know a number of them, and 2 of them decided to go to a party a week before last, and they, along with pretty much everybody else at the party, contracted COVID. And it's just, a lot of young people just can't make good decisions.
Yeah, they just can't. Yeah.
But they can spread the disease. So that's
Lucky us. Yeah. I do also know, I know a lot more people who have had it and either not had severe symptoms or we're fine afterwards. Clemson, ugh, so sorry. Yeah, Marlo's like, we don't need to hear that. But I do know a couple people that are still very sick. I know at least, I think a lot of you probably know Denise Baker, and her dad was very touch and go for quite a while. We're looking at, it's been a couple of months. He's still in the hospital. and still getting physical therapy. And so still very, very scary, even though it's maybe not as deadly as it was for as large of a portion of the population. Anyway, are we gonna talk about some KPIs today?
I think that we are.
All right. Gonna talk numbers.
Yeah. My daughter wasn't the one that was sick, but her buddies were sick. At least, as far as I know, she's not sick, but who knows?
Well, if she didn't go to the party, she could still get sick, though, because the whole party comes back and not all of them know that they're sick.
But they do the rapid test thing like a couple times a week.
Oh, that's good.
There's a requirement that they have to do it at least once a week.
Oh,
But,
very nice.
Nevertheless, it's still rampant there because they're kids and they don't always behave responsibly.
Yeah. Yep.
Anywho, this is where we are. We're still kind of on the first 90 days, and we were talking about, what do we need to do to help them be successful, right?
Yeah. Why were we specifically talking about attendance? I think we had something very specific that we were a specific point. Yeah. Do you remember, Tom?
Well, I guess it kind of fell into the area of quality and efficiency and productivity. Everybody needs a number, right? And this is how they know if they're being successful. And these are some of the basic numbers in terms of, matter, meaning, measure, and accountability that you'd want to use within the first 90 days to set the expectation and get the behavior that you want to get the outcomes that you're looking for.
Yeah, I think you're right. Had to do with that first 90 days, the main things that you need to be focusing in on those first 90 days to really make an impact and help with that turnover. I know that we're talking a lot about giving people that expectation quickly in the first 90 days, not waiting until they create where there's a bad trend with them starting to take more and more time off if that's not appropriate in your company.
In attendance is just really at the top of the list, and you hear people, we all have attendance policies. I would venture to say, probably more than half of the companies out there don't strictly enforce their attendance policy. You think it's an exaggeration?
I don't. And I think that number is even higher if you say don't always or haven't always or don't consistently. Because I think that the vast majority of the companies that I know, and I would say higher, 80%, have had a time where they didn't follow their own attendance policy for whatever reason. They were in a labor shortfall and they needed these people. They couldn't afford to let them go. They thought sometimes they think that they're good people in bad situations, so they try to cut them a little bit of slack. But there are multiple reasons why people don't. I bet that number would be even closer to 80%, Tom. I don't personally remember hearing from a company that had never wavered on their attendance policy. So I think that number could be higher for sure. For the people here on the call, who do we got? Marlo, Rochelle, Leslie. Have you guys ever wavered on your attendance policy? I know I have. I'm trying to think. I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but I know that I have done it. I do know, actually. So this was a few years back. We had a situation where we had a good employee, somebody who'd been with us for multiple years, and she just started being, hey, Dawn. Yep, Leslie, yeah, me too. She just started being flaky. She was having personal issues, but she was also just kind of burning out in the job a little bit. Not terrible, but not not doing great, and she missed that last day of work. At our company, you can only have 2 days of unexcused absences in a year. And on the third one, you're fired. And so with this gal, it was time to fire her, but she was one of our leadership team. She was a team coach. She'd been with us for years, and we didn't want to fire her. We just didn't want to fire her. That was bottom line. And so what we did in that case was we kind of made this exception that we were going to put her on a leave of absence and let her, sort of get it out of her system and then bring her back. But it didn't work. Didn't work in our favor. She did come back, and she still does work with us today, but it caused all sorts of other problems. So let's see. Anybody else on here? Yes. If someone doesn't abuse client needs off on sure let them have it. Depends on the circumstances. Hi.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's saying that they haven't done it though. Yep. Marlo, that's great. She's been in business forever like I have. She's done it too. Right now struggling with also some days. Found by luckily get to them, but she's always there. I know. Wow. See, and there are those people like that, right? Or the people that are the women that are pregnant and they call at 2 p.m. and say, I think I can make it to the end of the day, but my water broke. So I hope I'm going to be able to finish out my day. I'm on my last job, right? So we all have some of those too. But that's not my largest experience. Hey, Denise. Yeah, we see your face today. Yeah. I mean, it's a thing. Tom, I know you had a couple of people that you just didn't want to let go, same as me. Sometimes you just don't want to let them go.
but and you helped us a bunch with this. You're the kind of, as far as I'm concerned, kind of invented how to manage this. If you get to the point where you're really on the border of having to let somebody go, you blew it way too early. If you onboarded them correctly and managed the first 90 days correctly, you wouldn't get to that point. We have a more lenient policy. You get 4 unexcused absences in 6 months before we let you go. But an unexcused absence is a big doggone deal. And when you have your first one, then we respond immediately. And like if you're just out a day, okay, well, fine. We might even call, check, make sure you're okay, and make sure that you're going to work tomorrow, and you're back to work the next day. There's a meeting, and it's behind closed doors, and it's a long. It doesn't have to be a long discussion, but it's a sincere, energy-filled discussion about what happened yesterday and what were the contributing factors, and what can we do to reduce the chance of that happening in the future. And you realize that we have an attendance policy that if this happens, a few more times, you won't be working here anymore. And that's the last thing that we really want to happen, because, you're really important, to our team. What we do here is important, and you matter. And, people will respond to that. And, we've got a decent number of people that would have fallen out because of attendance if we hadn't done that, but they modified their behavior and their attendance is rock solid. They're some of the better people that we have now, that they wouldn't even be there at all if we hadn't have put the energy in managing that process. And it's kind of like one of those Stephen Covey things in the 4 quadrants. It falls in the important but not urgent category. It's really easy to kind of blow off. If you do that, you're going to be hiring people all the time, and it's a big contributor to turnover, which is really the whole point of the discussion, because that drives up your loaded payroll to revenue. So that's why we're talking about this.
Yeah, because we want to be hiring fewer people so that we're spending less. Rochelle, we've been there too. Sometimes, people just can't change bad habits. They don't want it as much as we want it for them. That does happen too. Hopefully you have a good enough attendance policy and a good enough attendance practices that number is very, very small. with 4 unexcused and 6 pre-approved days a year. Yeah, and really, you'll hear lots of different numbers. And my point to this is always the same. I don't really care what your attendance policy is. It doesn't really matter what it is, as long as you follow it. It's when you don't follow it that you start having problems. You can also create a bad employee. You can sort of lead them down the path of not being as good of an employee as you might want if your attendance policy is too lenient or too lax. We've all seen those situations where you're just too lenient on anything, and then people start thinking that's the norm. That's what they start wanting and start feeling like they need. So that can cause you problems too. So not any attendance policy, but almost any attendance policy, as long as you follow it yourself, you're going to get really good results. Agreed. Yep. You agree with me, Denise, that you have to follow the policy, I'm guessing. And I think, if somebody else up here said that, I think it might have been Denise, always burns us. Yep. When you don't follow your policy, you end up burning yourself. It's true. You end up getting burnt. An absence is an absence, that being personal in terms of reasons. I don't care anymore about the reason. You know, that was a really hard concept. Back in the day when I used to teach people about attendance policies and how to get on board, this was a hard nut to crack with people, that you don't need to know why. It's really not any of your business. Why they're missing is not your business, it's theirs. And they have to fix the problem. It's their business. And you deciding, approving based on, well, you don't look that sick to me is not going to get you where you want to go, because it doesn't get you into the MMA category, which is what you really want. You want people to be feeling like they matter, that there's some meaning in the job, that you actually need them at work, and that there is a measure that they can count on, and the accountability piece. Took me years to get this. It is hard. It takes many, many people years. I know people that will not accept a text from somebody taking the day off because they want the person to have to feel more pain than that. They're like, no, that's just too easy. Making it too easy.
Yeah.
So,
and different, parts of the country, and I guess different demographics, different business structures might dictate some what your attendance policy, should be. And, do you just have X number of days and it really doesn't matter, the reason? If you were supposed to be at work that day and you weren't, then, it's a strike. Other companies, might have a demographic and a workforce where you might get better outcomes if, you have excused and unexcused, and, understand that there are truly unavoidable things that pop up every once in a while that should, your culture, you should give consideration to that. So I don't know if there's one right or wrong way in terms of saying this is the best attendance policy.
Yeah, I don't think so. There's one right or wrong way at all. I love every point that you just made, Tom.
What you do need to do, though, and this is kind of getting back to what I've seen you drive on, is like, enforcing it doesn't mean waiting until it's time to fire somebody and firing them. Enforcing it means that if somebody has an incident, then that's a big doggone deal, and we're going to make a big doggone deal out of it way before they ever get to the point where you have to consider terminating them.
Yeah, because that really is, that's the tough part. And I know that you guys have probably all seen this too. Regardless what your policy is, you say that they could have, just for ease, they can have 5 absences before they're fired. Well, usually what happens is they get, yay, I can have 5 days off. So they take a day off, take a day off, take a day off, bam, 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 bam. Now they're at 5. And then they get sick, really sick. and they can't come to work. Now what do you do? Or this was before COVID when you really had different things around sickness, right? But how about instead of really sick, how about their husband is hospitalized, but they already had 5 absences. Now what? Do you let them go? Do you not? Because they use up all those absences. If they can, they don't realize that it's a big deal. So yeah, it's really, really important, I think, that attendance is treated like the important thing that it is. And I love that it's up there with productivity and efficiency. I don't think it was up there initially, Tom. I think you put it up there. I think it was a great addition.
And I think it's kind of where you start, because if you can't get that right, none of the other really matters.
Yeah. If the people aren't going to be at work, you're not going to be training them. Yeah.
So what would number 2 be on the list? Would that be quality?
I think probably, because quality is outward facing, and I think that we have to have that outward facing first.
Yeah. You can have productivity and efficiency, but if your quality stinks, you're just, doing you're doing bad work faster.
Yeah, and you're just causing us more and more problems every time you clean. Then.
Oh, in the first 90 days, how do we best, instill the outcomes, the behavior that we're looking for in the area of quality?
Well, and what we want to talk about here is what are some of the best practices in the first 90 days so that you don't get turnover, right? So when we're talking about quality, I'm going to go back to matter, meaning, measure, and accountability is making people understand why they matter to the job of quality, why quality is so important, why, what is the meaning that the quality brings to the job? What's the measure? Do you have quality driven? Do you have an SE rating? Do you use, what's that one that Matt used for the longest time, Tom?
Promoter score, net promoter score? Or,
yes.
Yeah.
Net promoter score. Whatever it is, get a number, hang a number on there, measure it, show people how it's important, and hold them to the standard, whatever the standard is in your business. So hold people accountable to what you need to have. So if you're, the reason why I kind of hedged my little bet there on quality a little bit is because quality is so subjective. What's high quality to one company might not be to another company. And Sotellus is another good one. Yeah. So that one's more around reviews, I think, but it also is great for your feedback too. Yeah, I forgot about Sotellus. Thanks, Leslie. That was a good one. And so the thing about quality is not all companies have the same quality standards, and they don't even want to. And I don't even think they should, right? There are some companies that are delivering the highest quality out there, and there are other companies that are not intentionally. They don't want to. So the point that I want to make around quality is that the people in the company understand what the quality standard is, and they're able to meet it consistently. Because truly, what is the most important to our customers is not the quality, it's the consistency of that quality deliverable. So it's more important to deliver the exact same quality over time than it is to deliver the highest quality that there is. Anybody want to argue that with me? I got lots of arguments. I'm guessing people are all going to agree with me. Once anybody thinks about it, they're like, yeah. Your customers don't complain because they're not getting the quality they want. I mean, sometimes they do, of course, but usually it's because they're not getting the quality they expect. It's not, there goes Tom with his setting expectations. They're not getting the quality that they expect, and they're not getting the quality that they believe they're paying for. which again is going back to expectations. We use Sotellus for reviews and provide bonuses for 5-star ratings. Ooh, nice. And reviews provides consistency and motivation to provide quality. Yay. So using a little bit of measure and a little bit of accountability, throwing in some matter in there and some meaning. I like that. I like that a lot. So most people will know that I am not a huge fan of bonuses unless they're delivered what I would say is the right way. And so I'm liking when I hear bonuses that are attached to certain things, delivered in a certain way, and people can count on.
Oh, but I guess one dimension of quality and a number that matters, I guess, is reviews. I mean, if you get reviews, that's presuming they're good reviews.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you don't have to have the highest quality service out there. You just have to have very consistent quality. Similar to McDonald's, right? I mean, I'm going to McDonald's. I love to go to McDonald's. Is it my favorite place to go? Sometimes. Actually, I was going to say no, but absolutely. Sometimes, yep, McDonald's is the place I want to go. I can count on what I'm going to get from them, and I'm going to get that every single time. If I couldn't, there is a place here locally that is a mom and pop shop, and I like to go there because they have really good milkshakes. But you just really can't count on stuff all the time. Sometimes the buns are really soggy on the burger. Sometimes the fries are overdone. It's just like, So I have to really want the milkshake to make me go to this place. But that's not the way it works at McDonald's. You know exactly what you're going to get. There aren't detractors, which is how NPS works, the Net Promoter Score. All right, what else do we want to talk about? We're going to show them.
Find the right deck. Not sure what I was doing here. Okay, here we go.
I'm going to find it.
Let's Google it. Okay. This will take just a minute. The whole idea behind quality, based on this model, this is a book called ServQual, Delivering Quality Service. It's a quality measurement program called ServQual. And I think it's one of the more useful ways of measuring quality and figuring out the root causes of if you're having quality problems, why is it? And the whole idea is everything from this line up is a customer and everything from this line down is your business. And there's 5 different ways that you can have a bad quality outcome. One of them is the customer is expecting you to do one thing up here, but you as a management you as a company believe that they're expecting something else. That you think they want you just to come in and take the trash out and vacuum, and they're expecting you to come in and deep clean the entire house as an example of that type of gap. And that's called a gap 1. A gap 2 is you understand what they want. They want their house deep cleaned. You understand that they want their house deep cleaned, but you aren't putting together work instructions for your team in a way that communicates to them that you're just telling them, go clean the house. That's called a gap 2, quality breakdown. A gap 3 is, they want to deep clean. You're good there. You wrote really good detailed work instructions explaining exactly what the customer wanted. But for whatever reason, the team just didn't do it. That's a gap 3. A gap 4 is all of these things happen and you did an awesome job of doing exactly what the work instructions said, which really matched what the customer is expecting. But you've got external communications that contradict that in some way, that there's some other stuff on your website, for instance, that says that you do a bunch of other stuff that the team didn't do. And that's a gap 4. And the gap 5 is you did everything perfectly, but for whatever reason, the customer doesn't see that you sanitized and disinfected their bathroom, for instance, because they have no way of knowing because you didn't tell them that was done. And that's where their perceptions don't match their expectation. There's a lot going on here, but the point is, when you go back to the context of providing feedback to your cleaning professionals on quality to make sure that they love their job and they're going to get you the outcomes that you're looking for and they're going to be with you for a long time, 4 out of the 5 ways that you can mess quality up has absolutely nothing to do or very little to do with the people that were cleaning the home. So when you're providing the quality feedback and saying, Mrs. Jones isn't happy, make sure that you are, identifying the root causes and you aren't basically blaming the cleaning professional for something that really was primarily caused in one of these other 4 areas.
And so,
tangent a bit, but I really like this, so I figured I'd share it.
I feel like it's really useful too, Tom. Tom said something that I wanted to just pick at a little bit. He said, make sure that you are not blaming the cleaning professional for something that isn't actually their fault. So I think that a lot of times we think and we believe and we operate under this idea that if we tell our cleaning professional something, we give them the information, that's where our responsibility ends. We did our job. We told you how to clean something. Anything after that is on you. And I think that that's where ServQual really is helpful for companies, because there's a lot more to it than just you telling them what they need to do, or showing them or any of those other things. Because there is a lot to do with the communication around that, how the information is delivered between all the different people, between you and the trainer and the cleaning professional and the customer, whoever's paying the bill maybe, and the kids that live there, and the nanny, and so many different places where a message can break down, and the expectation can break down.
The cool thing that you can do as part of this whole quality thing, and this really kind of gets into MMA as well, is if you take a quality breakdown and, we use this term, a non-conforming outcome. It's less threatening. But basically it's like, okay, this is like an accident. We need to do what we would call a corrective action review. And basically it's like an accident report. We want to identify the root causes, and you start drilling down into this model and trying to figure out the things that could have happened to lead that customer to, not being happy with the service. And the people who participate in this process, in terms of whoever was doing the sale and whoever was doing the work instructions and, the cleaner or the cleaners involved with the team, everybody participates in this. And you can get some pretty awesome outcomes to identify why it happened and take steps to reduce it from happening in the future. And you're really creating, Liz is talking about, the meaning of what you're doing, and you matter as part of the process. That's an awesome way of doing it, rather than saying, hey, you screwed up and Mrs. Jones doesn't like the cleaning you gave her yesterday.
Yeah, why'd you blow it?
Yeah.
I know somebody that uses a form that's very similar to that, and I thought it was cute how they use it. They call it a fix-it form. And so you want to talk about non-threatening, right? A fix-it form sounds easy. So they just throw that out there just really casually. Like, oh, Mrs. Johnson, she wasn't happy. Did you fill in the fix-it form for her yet? I know, right? How easy is that? So it doesn't have to be a big formal process. A lot of times people are turned off by this idea that, oh, it's going to take forever. It's going to be so hard. And it really doesn't have to be. Her little fix-it form is really awesome. And you just say what happened, what's your perception of why it happened, why the customer wasn't happy. Is there anything we could have done differently? is there anything we want to try and remember to do different next time? And that's pretty much the fix it form. And I can't remember the exact details, but it's very similar to that. And they just are looking for fix it forms that kind of have the same problems. And they look for those matches, and then they fix that sort of core issue on the fix it form. So I'm like, I love that idea. Thought it was great. Yeah. Hello, Molly.
Hear that?
I did. I know that wasn't a termite. I know that was.
No, that wasn't a termite. That was a dog. It could have been Molly.
Oh, that's
It
loud.
could have been Yogi.
I forgot you had 3 dogs over there.
It could have been Ace. Or it could have been Jax.
Oh, you have 4? I thought you only had 3. Oh, 3 visiting dogs.
3 visiting dogs, guest dogs. Yes.
Yeah.
4 in total.
Book for book club. Oh, Julie. Oh, good idea, Julie. Throw it into group for me, okay? Because I'm going to forget. What was the name of that? Actually, I won't forget. Thanks, Julie. What was the name of that?
Serve Qual. That's not the name of the book. The name of the book is Delivering Quality Service.
Quality service. All right. Perfect. I'll do that. Thanks, Julie. Let's check and make sure it's on Audible, though. Do you know if it's on Audible, Tom?
I don't know. I actually have hard copies of it.
I have
the pages are a little bit yellow, actually.
a little old, so maybe it is on Audible then. I had an awesome book set up called Growing Your Company's Leaders for book talk next month, but it's not on Audible, and I got too much pushback, so now I have to change it. No.
But it's not a hard read. It's not. And it's got a lot of charts and graphics. It's one of those books that probably plays better in print just because of all the models and stuff it has in it.
Yeah, it's not happening. How we have to do it is we have to have it by Audible. Then if everybody likes it and they want the graphs, then we'll buy also the hard copy. If we can't get an Audible book first, no, they're not going for it.
It was last purchased in 2009.
Wow, Tom. Is it still, it is. And actually, it is still very, very relevant.
It's not like my Craig Kramer's book or Craig Kramer's, and there's another book.
CEO tools or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's in print anymore. And Built for the Indoor Environment. The guy out of, I saw that book being sold for like over $100.
$125 when we first started. I think it was back in March or April. We pulled it up.
And I had several copies, and I gave one to Joe. That was before I figured out it was worth $125.
You would have given it to him anyway. All right. Quality. So what are your guys' thoughts on quality? Anything else that you want to talk about when we're talking about quality? And remember, we're speaking to the training expense in the first 90 days. Of course, you have to teach them about, how to clean and the different quality that you are expecting. And just one more thing that I would like to say about it is, ideally, if you can have your quality set in writing as well as just being passed on verbally. If you want to have videos, fine, but in writing is also a really one of my 4 dogs.
No?
Or 2 cats. I have an old cat that gets irritated when the other cat's in the room. It's like, get out of my space. Darn, what was I saying?
In writing?
Yeah, in writing. So an employee manual or a cleaning manual that is not perfectly done is better than no cleaning manual at all. So I know that sounds counterintuitive if I just barely got done telling you that consistency is so important, right? Consistency is more important than the level of quality, but people can be more consistent when they have something in writing. On written quality expectations. So just some type of a training manual that shows them and talks about what exactly it is that needs to be clean, to what level, etc. You can hang a number on it if you want, but just putting something in writing. When people absorb information in different ways, which you guys know, we were just talking about this actually with the books. When you absorb information in different ways by reading it and hearing it, writing it is super helpful also, that you absorb the information to a deeper level of your consciousness. And so you're able to produce better results. So that's why it's really important to have something in writing, because people will just absorb it deeper. Hope that was helpful. Anyway, so this is, again, our list. We're creating lists here for you guys of things you want to be doing. And when we get to right here where it says reviews, we want you to get more of them. So go out and get them. Don't just count them. Right? I mean, it's nice to count them too, but go get them.
So this is the first 90 days. So part of that first 90 days would be field training, the first week of the first, 2 weeks, and people, do it differently. But I think, most people at least do field training for a week, right?
I don't know anybody that does less than a week.
Sometimes 2, sometimes more than 2.
Yep, sometimes a month.
Do we talk about that differently? I mean, when we talked about week, so I guess that was kind of the field training as a whole. Back then, though, we were talking more about just the general expectations, rules of the road, so to speak, more of the policy manual type stuff, and helping them succeed and giving them numbers was part of it.
But now that we're in the first 90 days, we do need to have a certain level of training. If you don't give people good training, they don't feel well trained, you are going to turn them over. Absolutely. And this really goes to Sharon Timberg's point, right? She makes this point eloquently, that it is critical that people believe that they are getting the best training to be able to do their jobs that's out there. And if they do, they will work really hard for you, and they will stick around and enjoy their job and appreciate it. I agree with that high quality training is very important for cleaning training, and more of it. And more knowledge is better. I have a very high theoretical, you know that, Tom. One of my motivators is I feel I'm motivated by learning new things, and I like to learn new things. So I'm a little bit biased in this way, that I know I believe in training, and I believe that everyone should get more training, but there is a lot of research out there, a lot of evidence that talks to the turnover rates of people that don't get good training. So each hire is getting the best training ever. Yeah. Okay, here is something that you can do as well, because one thing that trumps everything is expectations, always, right? So sometimes I've run into this problem with people. They're like, but I can't train them right now. I can't give them good training, right, in this first week, because I'm just trying to hold on and keep this thing going. I'm out in the field. I don't have anybody to train them. I just need them to get in there and just start cleaning stuff. I'll point and tell them to scrub. You can do that, y'all. You can do that as long as they see it as part of your plan, that they understand that's the expectation. You would then just need to say, listen, your training over this first week is going to be much different than your formal training, which will begin whenever it's going to happen, in a week, in 2 weeks. Tell them what it is that they can expect for right now. this week, this is what's happening. This is what we need to be doing. This is how we're going to make that happen. Yeah. But they do need to know that they are going to get good training. On our exit interview, it's one of the most important questions that we ask is if they feel like they were well trained. You know, on the Q12 survey, Tom, I believe that that is one of the ongoing questions also, that people believe that they have gotten the training that they need to do their job.
I think that's the number one question. Do you know what expected of you is, I guess, the number one question. Here you go. And this kind of starts at the top and goes down to the bottom. It's like, if you can't, the stuff down here is like a hierarchy. The stuff down here doesn't even matter if this stuff up here isn't right. So it all starts with, do you know what's expected of you at work?
Yep, and having materials and equipment, of course, right? Right.
Go ahead and I'll drop this in too.
All right. Yeah, good job.
So
the expectation is so critical. So when we're talking about cleaning training, we do want them to have the best training that there is out there so that they can feel successful and they can believe that they are good at their job. How many times have you ever wanted to do a job that you weren't good at, that you didn't think you knew what you were doing, you didn't know how to get better? We talk a lot about measure because of this, right? So same thing.
But given the option, given the choice, you're going to get better outcomes in the long run if you're able and have the opportunity to make an investment in the fewer people that you're going to be hiring, because if you do that, you won't be hiring as many people, and overall your training costs are going to be lower, and your loaded revenue to payroll is going to be lower as well.
Absolutely. Spend more time on the training, make sure that people understand what it is that they're supposed to do and they feel confident doing it. If you are hiring solos, I would say that this is especially critical because they don't feel like they have someone to lean on, anybody to ask, anybody to check. So unless they're very, very confident, it's going to be very uncomfortable to get 1 week's worth of training, 4 days. And I know one company that tried 4 days for a while and then tried to go out in the field. You're just going to lose them there because you have to invest in their confidence and their training. And again, a large part, I keep saying the word confidence, but we haven't actually written that down anywhere. It is really important. One of the largest pieces of what you're doing when you bring these people into your job and you want to get them to stay is that they have confidence in what they're doing and confidence that they're going to be good at it. They're going to be able to meet the measures. They're going to be able to do what needs to happen. So one of the main things that you're looking for in a trainer is somebody that can, build people up, build up their confidence.
We are approaching the top of the hour.
Hour over here.
I'm thinking we're going to be ready to jump into productivity and efficiency and some of that other cool stuff tomorrow. And we'll start by defining what these are, because I think a lot of times, people get confused. I see productivity and efficiency used interchangeably and used in a lot of different ways. And I'm going to share with you a model and how we use those two numbers. They're two very different numbers, and they both measure an important aspect of a cleaning professional's performance that directly relates to how much revenue they're able to generate per clock hour, which at the end of the day has a profound impact on your direct loaded payroll to revenue.
Which impacts, again, profit, which is
Right.
what we're talking about here, right?
We'll kind of show you how all that ties together. We'll be playing with spreadsheets and in some numbers, and we'll back it back down and go as slow as we need to, because there's a lot to unpack there, but it's good stuff. So,
All right.
we're done. Are we done for the day, Liz?
1 hour and 22 seconds, 25, 26, 27.
Okay.
No.
You guys take care. We'll see you tomorrow, 5 o'clock Eastern. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.